Ready.
Hi, Ryan. What was the inspiration behind the story of the Gazer?
Well, we started writing in 2020 during COVID. We were up to that point. We were, living lives that we didn't necessarily love. I was working as an electrician. Ariella was working at
a movie theater.
But
I was furloughed, so I was let go during that time.
Yeah, and I was actually considered an essential worker, so I had to keep working. But we were at this crossroads where we were reflecting on our life and where we've been and where we wanted to be, and we decided that we just need to make that movie. We need to make that jump, whatever it takes. We had a little bit of money saved up, no connections, no financial support. But we started writing this film, and we were looking at films from Alan J. Pakula. We were looking at Coppola's The Conversation, Antonioni's Blow Up, De Palma's Blowout, and we got very inspired by those three films in particular because they were all inspired from Antonioni's Blow Up. This idea of a character witnessing something and then misunderstanding it or misconstruing it, and how that affects them mentally. So we were like, what would be that fourth film in today's day and age? And we chose this character that is forced to live an analog life in a digital world, and that was very exciting to us. Ariella had read Oliver Sacks's The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat, and she was reading about all these ataxias, and she I'm speaking for you.
Yeah, no, that's it. I mean, that was the jumping off point. We were looking at these films and just thought, God, these are so good, and we haven't seen a film like this in a while.
Yeah.
So we knew we wanted to have a paranoia film, a really, complicated and fun mystery.
Yeah.
Hi, Ariella. How did you connect with character, and what personal experience or food did you bring to the role?
Well, so one thing that really, really moved me, when I was looking, I was searching for people who had this condition firsthand.
Yes.
And I came across this NPR, I'm paraphrasing, but it can be very frustrating. So what she does is she embraces it, and she takes moments she gives herself time to be internal and to be inward. And there was something that was like really beautiful, but lonely about that. And I think, at its core, Frankie, she is living in this world at the top of the film, like a ghost, looking out into other people's lives, trying very hard not to be seen, to disappear in the world. But it's also a woman who is searching for connection, and specifically with her daughter. So there was something about that just really fueled that internal life for me.
Orion, how did you approach creating the unique tone and atmosphere of the film, and why black and white?
So we were. I grew up in the '90s, and all the films that I've seen up to that point, before the digital age came, were shot on film. So to me, the cinema is connected with celluloid. So I've been playing with film cameras ever since I was a kid, and it wasn't an option to shoot digitally. I knew from the start that we were going to be shooting on film, that I was going to be a filmmaker that continues to shoot on film. I think that the medium is beautiful and mysterious and magical, and I want to share that with people. It's not about being a rival against digital. There are plenty of films shot digitally that look wonderful. It's just that I connect more with films that are shot on film. The place that I grew up in, which is where we shot, is changing. It's being gentrified like many places around the world, and I wanted to capture what was left of it before it was gone. And it is a gritty place. It's in the shadow of New York City. It really lent itself to that 16 millimeter grain, and we, Ariella, myself, and our great cinematographer, Mateus Bastos, really leaned into that, and we weren't afraid. With the nightmare sequences, for instance, we pushed the film stock, so we got an even grainier texture. Matt had this great idea of adding purple into the coloring grade, which gave it this almost grindhouse kind of feel.
Yes.
We were always on board to push it and just to keep getting more and more grit out of the film.
Yeah, and exploring and having fun.
Yeah.
Ariella, what was the most challenging scene for you to film, to play, sorry, and how did you prepare for it emotionally?
You know, we shot this film on weekends over 2 years.
Yeah.
In April.
In April, in the spring and fall.
Not every weekend.
Yeah, not every weekend. Oh my gosh, I just got so tired thinking of that. So every weekend had its own set of challenges. But I think there was a moment towards the end of the film where we discover why Frankie is in the position that she's in. And it's that conversation with the antagonist that takes place in this very, very gritty motel. But we didn't have much control over the location.
Yeah.
So during the scene, we have a fight broke out in a neighboring room. There was cigarette smoke coming in from the vent.
It wasn't cigarettes.
It was it was smoke. It was a combination.
It was marijuana.
So there were all of these external factors that we couldn't control.
Yeah.
So it was difficult to focus, but Ryan was so good at keeping everybody just really excited, and every time I felt just frazzled, Ryan would pull me aside and get me good.
Ryan, could you talk about the casting process and what you are looking for in the lead actors, especially you?
Absolutely. Obviously, Ariella and I, writing it together, we wrote it for Ariella specifically.
Okay.
When it came to casting, we stole a lot of actors from Ariella's acting classes.
Nice.
So we kind of, we knew some of these people we didn't even need to audition because we knew what they were capable of right away. For the other ones, we put out a casting notice and went through how many videos?
Well, we went through 2,000 submissions for the role of Paige. Yeah, so she was
Nice.
like one of the big ones that we did an open call for.
Yeah.
But like Ryan said, I mean, a lot of the performers came from just people we knew in classes.
Yeah, friends.
And I think just in general, the whole film is really built on community. So I love that we were able to, include our friends in it.
Ryan, what was the biggest challenge you faced during filming and how did you overcome them?
I think that's a good question.
Thank you.
I think the biggest challenge. It felt, I loved every second of it. I would do it all again. I feel like every single day, no matter how prepared I was, I felt underprepared.
Yeah.
And I felt like it was an uphill battle each day. We were shooting so many things in increments and cheating, one location across the street from a different location, and we were shooting them, months to years apart. I think for me, the nightmare sequences were the most fun I had, but probably the most challenging as well because, I storyboarded the entire film, and that in particular, I feel like I lost the whole crew, and Ariella was always on board and super supportive, but I feel like when we started doing that, people were just like, what movie is this? even though they read the script and I'm showing them the storyboards, they're just like, why are you doing? Like our cinematographer, God bless him, was like at the end of that weekend, he's like, listen, if you get into the edit and this feels weird, like don't be afraid to just cut it from the film. And I'm like, Matt, I was like, this is going to be in the film. We're not cutting this. And like we were shooting. It was a very demanding weekend. I hate pushing the crew further than 8 to 10 hours, and we were doing like 13 to 14-hour days there. We were all sleeping together in the same Airbnb, and everybody was working so hard, wearing so many different hats. We had blood all over the ceilings.
Blood everywhere.
Blood was everywhere. We had all these gags going on. Some of the gags weren't what we planned. Like, the Cronenberg hand through the chest was not intentional. It was supposed to. We were trying to rip off Juniper Tree, a film with Bjork, in which she puts her hand through someone's black chest.
Yes, we wanted to do like a version of that, but then,
But,
with limited resources and time, and you get what you
get what you get.
Yeah.
And we made the most of it. But it was stressful because there were a lot of we were running out of time constantly.
Yeah.
There's never enough time. There's never enough money, and we had to piece together everything based on what we captured.
Ariella, can you share your experience working with Ryan? How did he guide you through some of the more complex or ambiguous scenes?
We create together, we do music, this film, so we have a shorthand. But of course, this was our first time working together in this capacity. So it was fun because we were learning from each other throughout the process. But I don't know, I think what's lovely about working with Ryan is he's always willing to play and explore. And he has like a very, very specific vision in mind. But he knows how to help you arrive at that place where it feels like it's coming from you. So he never forces you into a box, even though he has a specific vision. So in particular, Ryan and I worked very hard on Frankie's physicality, her physical nature, and I think that was the most fun to develop that arc.
Ryan, how did you collaborate with the cinematographer to achieve the distinctive visual style of your movie?
So, and Ariella was part of these conversations too, since we were producing. Me, Ariella, and Mateus Bastos, the cinematographer, we, obviously we knew we wanted to shoot on film. We watched a lot of films together, preparing for, this look, a lot of Polanski, we watched Bresson's Pickpocket. That was one that we referred to a lot as well, even though that's in black and white. We were constantly watching films and talking about the textures and everything like that, and just trying to pre-plan what challenges we would face. We had this camera that in the beginning, I owned the camera, but we didn't have a video tap on it. So, that's why I was storyboarding so insanely, because I was like, Matt's going to be operating the camera, and I'm not going to be able to see what he's capturing. So we would I storyboarded everything out, and I would show him the visuals. He'd show me the eyepiece. I'd look in there, and then Matt would shoot it, and we'd say, "Did we get it?" And he would say,
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. And then, we eventually got a V-tap so that I could see precisely what was going on. But, I think there's a relationship between the DP and director that is very, very personal, and there's so much trust and faith that needs to be shared between the two, because we both have each other's backs, and we're, if one falls, so does the other.
Ariella, what message or feeling do you hope audiences take away from your character journey in The Gather?
More than anything, I hope when we were writing this, we wanted the audience to feel at each moment that Frankie needs to do whatever she needs to do to get back to her daughter.
Yeah.
And that's the whole film. I've had so many people just, with these two experiences, premiering at Cannes and then now being able to present here at Deauville, people are like, oh my God, I was so upset for Frankie the whole time, like it's just so frustrating, her situation. But I hope towards the end, when she's finally with her daughter, that you feel like it's a bittersweet moment. It's like you're happy that she's with her, but you feel a little weird about the circumstance.
Ariella, how did you prepare to convey the psychological tension that your character experienced through the film?
So I spoke to some friends of mine who did the responsible track and became doctors, and they are neurosurgeons. I spoke with one neurosurgeon friend, and then another friend who works with older patients, mostly with dementia, short-term memory, similar but different. I wanted to get a sense of how they felt in their day-to-day and how they were able to, to live with that. And between the two of them, they had said that, it's a very frustrating life because they are aware that they are aware that something is happening, but they cannot control it. So that creates this deep frustration because you are,
disintegrating.
Yeah, constantly aware that something is wrong. So that internal frustration became the engine for the character.
Ryan, what were your key influence, both film and director, while shaping together, especially in terms of the visual and narrative elements? We think about Coppola and Cronenberg. Cronenberg for existence and for Videodrome with the tape on the.
Right. As I mentioned earlier, I'm always watching films. I try to watch a movie a day, and during Gazer, I kept rewatching very specific films, and some of those it was like Carol Reed's The Third Man. It was undoubtedly Coppola's The Conversation. I love Antonioni. He's one of my favorite directors. I was watching Blow Up La Ventura. I love how he composes his shots and creates this slow but intentional space for the characters to really live in. De Palma, I can't, he's a Jersey guy. We come from the same place. Carlito's Way, the following sequences in that. Obviously, Blowout, we were referencing as well. Alan J. Pakula, his Paranoia trilogy was a massive influence. I love his work with Gordon Willis and how he's not afraid to just let people go into complete darkness. And then, of course, in terms of newer films, I think a big one that really struck Ariella and I was Lee Chang-dong's 2018 masterpiece, Burning.
Yeah.
His adaptation of Murakami's Barn Burning. It's a film that continues to award you on rewatches, and that was very important. That in terms of like shooting this film and where to put the camera, I was trying to just keep in mind that like next time somebody watches this frame, they're going to see something different, and that was very important. Obviously, with Cronenberg and Kubrick and Lynch, I was definitely inspired by the texture of film like Videodrome or Existence, and Crash. I love his work. I'm always going to be in awe of what Cronenberg can do.
Ariella, how did you understand how the character evolved from the first day of shooting to the last? Thank you.
Yeah. I would say I felt more of an evolution as an actor in general than the character specifically. When we started the project, this was our first attempt at doing anything. So there are certain technical elements that I hadn't experienced before. Hitting very specific marks, having only one or two takes, specific eye lines, all of the technical requirements of shooting on film were difficult in the beginning, but by the end of 2.5 years, we were able to really just play, and it became less. So I felt very grateful that we had that time because those technical elements became easier.
Ryan, how did you balance storytelling with ambiguity, especially in scenes that leave much unsaid?
I think that goes back to Burning in a way. I think that that film lives in ambiguity, and I think that's why it rewards you on a rewatch. So in terms of the ambiguity was really written into the script more than anything. So we knew from the beginning that final shot. We knew our beginning and we knew our end, and we were filling in the rest kind of as we went. But there's so much similar to Carol Reed's The Third Man. Graham Greene, the screenwriter, he wrote like a novella instead of a screenplay. Before he wrote the screenplay, he wrote a novella because there's so much that happens off screen in that film that you don't know about. It's lightly told through exposition, but at the end of the day, you're following the main character, and you're in love with Harry Lime, you're in love with Orson Welles, and he has such a presence that attracts you to him, and you're like, this guy cannot be bad, but he is, and there's so much ambiguity in that character and his relationship to Joseph Cotton's character, and I just with Gazer, you know, there's a lot that happens off screen that we
Yes.
do not, we leave completely open.
Yes.
And I think that it's a couple people have an issue with that, and
Yeah.
you know, they can go fuck themselves. I think. You know,
Hey, let's go.
I really like. I love films like that. I love films that leave you to map it out in your head, and when you revisit it, you're like, oh, okay, oh, so that happened here. Oh shit, so that just happened, and then this character went here. I love films like that. So that was our quest.
Yeah, and actually that's a really good point. You know, it's not just ambiguous, you know, for the sake of something being open-ended.
Yeah.
There are so many details within the film that if you look for them, that ambiguity is clarified.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And my last question, what does it mean for you to have the Gather in the official competition at the Deauville American Film Festival?
Oh man.
I mean, it's the 50th anniversary.
Yes!
There's so much history here. There's
Yeah.
so many great filmmakers. We've met so many wonderful people. This has been such a beautiful experience because we're all. What I was saying earlier, what's so special about this place is that we're all stuck here together.
Yeah.
In a and it's heaven. It's paradise.
Yes.
But it's like, you know, what you come through here and all the filmmakers are in here drinking and talking.
Yes!
And it's beautiful. And you know, you can talk to. You know, you meet your heroes and you're always worried that these people are going to be like, you know, this, I'm better than you.
Yeah, no.
And you realize everybody's human. Everybody is struggling in the same way, but different,
Yes.
you
And
know.
everyone's here to celebrate film.
Yes.
And I feel the audiences at Deauville, that space, it's a big space, but it's so warm and it's so
Yes.
generous, and
And
we
1,500 people show up every day.
Yeah.
yeah, and it's, I mean, so
Yes.
far we've only had, you know, 2 festivals that we've been a part of.
Yes.
We're both in France.
Yes.
And
Nice.
the respect for
Yes.
cinema
Of course.
is unparalleled
Yeah, it's-
here. It is. I mean, I'm just so grateful and honored to have.
I've never wanted to live anywhere else in my life.
Nice. Thank you so much. Can I take some picture?
Please.
Yeah, of
Thank you.
course.
Thank you.